Robbie.
Steven Brooks.
Hey, Bobby.
Wait, can I do Gene?
I can do Tina.
I'm not even gonna try Gene. All right, I'll try. That's something she does.
Is there a podcast with a pod that's about a podcast?
What? That doesn't sound anything like him.
I want to wear the burger suit.
That's his catchphrase. I want to wear the burger suit.
With Gene, he's always doing, I don't want to be on a podcast. He kind of sounds like Brian Posehn sometimes.
But there's a nasally kind of voice to it, right?
I don't want. Oh no.
I don't know if I want to be on a podcast. Like, it's something he has kind of a, he has kind of a thing. It's like Brian Posehn light.
Yeah.
You used to be a jock and now you build stuff.
One of my favorite
Yeah, exactly.
skits. Brian Posehn, who worked on Mr. Show, as well as someone else. We'll talk about that later.
Jay, why are you such a traitor? We review every bit of this movie, top to bottom, bun to burger.
I would say we digested it.
And you get to see what comes out.
Look at you.
There's a little special extra thing at the end. If you all the way at the end of the episode, I'm making something special.
You ever ordered something and like chicken nuggets, and then there's like a fry in there?
Usually it's fries and then an onion ring.
Oh yeah.
So I want to say welcome to episode 282 of the Rubber Animation Podcast. And this one is simply the Bob's Burgers movie review.
Enjoy the show. I'm Gene.
This is nothing like Eugene Merman.
All right, here's Tina. I got to choke my neck. What would Tina say?
Burger buns, like butts, like Jimmy Pesto's butt.
My favorite part of the burger is the butts. No.
That's not bad. You know what? You get lots of great comedy just like that in the show. So let's just go in.
It's International Joke Day, by the way. So today.
That's great because those jokes were really far away.
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that.
Definitely go for that.
And you're listening to...
You know what I'm missing though is I'm missing Gene's Casio with his recorded. He's got a bark, he's got fart, he's got all the. I kind of want that. I want that little Casio to have like a soundboard.
Oh, like a regular radio show, you know?
Yeah, like a regular radio show, exactly. I mean, the last episode that we had, it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes ultimately when it came up. Have you heard it yet? I mean, as of recording this podcast, I only uploaded it like yesterday.
Yeah, I gotta give it a listen to. I know you added some extra bells and whistles to it.
Yeah, I added a lot of different things. I think I downloaded I don't know how many different clips I put up there, and I was holding back on the clips. I think every maybe 10-15 minutes there was some sort of clip or some sort of sound effect. I like the variety show thing. I like sound effects. I like lots of things happening. I feel like I'm a Gene at heart.
Billie Jean. Sorry.
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Although. That does start off the the drinking game of singing songs on the podcast,
right.
Which is going to be a little difficult with this because it's not really a musical, but it does have music in it. Obviously we already had the intro by the time that we get to this point, which we haven't recorded yet. We always record that at the end, but let's just get into it. We watched the Bob's Burgers movie. We wanted to talk about this. At least record it before 4th of July here in the United States of America, where we
Big burger
mainly just use it as a reason to eat burgers and hot dogs. And we'll do something a little... What's that?
We should really go see the Coney Island hot dog eating contest one day.
Man, I really don't want to. I mean, I know it's back because of the pandemic. Like, it's come back, and I don't. Even when we lived down there, I didn't want to go.
Oh man, Leanne explained to her parents who they're in England about that day. She's like, yeah, they stuff their face with hot dogs and it's a sport. And I just felt really embarrassed.
I mean, it's just professional eating is all it is.
Yeah.
What's the guy? What's the famous guy? Is it Jimmy something?
Yeah, it's like a very mafia sounding name.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Two Buns or something.
Jimmy Two Buns.
Jimmy. Oh, there's Jimmy's and Bob's Burgers too.
There is, yeah. I mean, we'll definitely talk about the characters and some things surrounding Jimmy Pesto. We won't get too much into that, but okay, we're talking obviously the Bob's Burgers movie. I can see you typing, and I can see you looking around desperately trying to find this guy's name. Joey Chestnut, which has no bear. That really sounds like a stripper name to me, but it has no bearing on anything. The point is, we watched this movie. We watched Bob's Burgers. I want to first introduce where we're coming from on this review before getting into it. I have seen every single episode. I love the show. It's like everything that I want in a show. And we've talked about this before, that you are not a big fan of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, but when you say it like that, it sounds like I'm anti-Bob's Burgers.
I said you are not a big fan of Bob's Burgers. I'm saying I have seen every single episode.
But it's also like saying, like, I'm not a big fan of the DMV. You know, like that, that sounds like, yeah, who isn't? Right?
Oh, I understand. Like a sarcastic kind of underhanded. No, you are not a fan, but you don't hate Bob's Burgers. It's just not comfort food to you, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not your kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I could watch it. I laugh. But do you ever go like, oh, crap, I missed Bob's Burgers tonight?
Yes. Yeah, I look forward to it when it comes out. Yeah.
And I think I've said this before, but when I first saw the trailer for the first Bob's Burgers, the pilot, I was like, that's getting canceled. And it wasn't my, like, just saying I didn't like it. It was just, it looked different. And I said a lot of times how I love that Bob is a straight man, and like the characters around him are, because it's usually
his kids and his wife and all the characters around are all like crazy personalities. And
yeah. Even though Bob has his moments where he talks to his burgers and
exactly, he has kind of like that hidden craziness where everything around him is just, he's always going he's just getting annoyed at things, but. So he's not outwardly crazy, but then, yeah, that's why the Thanksgiving episodes are so great, because essentially you have an entire season where he's just being the one who everyone else is being crazy and he has to deal with it. And then on Thanksgiving, he's the crazy one and everyone else has to deal with it. It's like, this is Bob's one thing, but he goes so far over the deep end. Like it completely, he takes it so seriously.
Do you think those Thanksgiving episodes are like, there's not really a reoccurring holiday special really for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. I think that, and it fits because, he cooks and things like that. But I do feel like we've talked about like the Halloween episodes on Roseanne and Treehouse of Horrors and, things that, there was always like Christmas episodes, and there weren't really Halloween episodes around, I guess, like, late 80s, early 90s, I guess, started pulling in the Halloween episodes. But there's really nothing for like Thanksgiving. Yeah. And yeah, the Thanksgiving episodes really, we had Friends. Friends has Thanksgiving episodes. It's not a ton of shows that have Thanksgiving episodes. Or at least classic ones. And this one really, really fits.
Oh, the Peanuts, I would say.
Well, but those aren't episodes. Those are specials. Yeah. Those are like, yeah. So anyway, what, aside from you seeing it for the first time and being like, this isn't going to work, what it didn't catch on with you? Like, your wife loves it.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's just something that when it's on, I enjoy it, but I don't have an interest on like continuing. If it has to be around. It has to be on the TV. Somebody's putting it. I never go searching for it, and
I feel like it's that way for a lot of things with you. You don't really search out a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I guess it's weird. I don't think anything of it afterwards, and it's just something that's there. And like, I guess like King of the Hill, which I liked King of the Hill a lot too. But
well, we also have to recognize that you're older now. And we talked about this on our Netflix episode where they were canceling everything. We were trying to figure out, why do we not get into all these shows? Like, why are we not watching it? It feels like this should be something that we do, but I feel like some of it is, you get a little bit older, and my kind of hypothesis on that was that we're looking for something that's a little different. And when something feels samey, where it's like, well, I've seen this kind of thing before, so why don't I just watch that thing that I've seen? If you're kind of not new, but you're is that my way of saying young? If you're like, you're new to the entertainment game kind of deal, and you're just watching these shows, that's why they do remakes and covers. And I think I always bring up that. Was it an Ariana Grande song? I always forget which artist did it, but it was the "If I Were a Rich Man."
Oh yeah.
I actively heard these kids go, "Oh yeah, that's like it's a music." What? I thought it was that. Like, finding out that this very, very famous song from the first half of Fiddler on the Roof, Riddler on the Roof. If that is not an episode on the Harley Quinn show on HBO, I feel like that's for you. That's for you, Warner Brothers. Riddler on the Roof. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but for me, I liked Bob's Burgers because it felt. I liked the family. I liked the way that they showed the family, that it's not, they don't hate each other. That's one of the things that gets me annoyed when people say dysfunctional family. It's not a dysfunctional family. They're just kind of nutty.
I've said this as well, where I feel like what Bob's Burgers does is like I really want the Simpsons to do, scale back and keep everything a little more simple. And maybe that's part of the aspect of why I feel like it's always going to be I do like to be kind of shocked by stuff, not like shocked humor, but I like to be surprised by things. And I think South Park mixes things up like that. Sometimes The Simpsons does it, and maybe I feel like it's just, it's a nice place to visit, but it's not as exciting to me.
Well, the exciting part, I think, is it's more of a personality thing. It's more like, I think getting that feeling at the end of an episode that there was some sort of emotional catharsis, characters coming together, realizing a thing. It's that kind of stuff. It gives you something. It's more of a feel-good kind of show as opposed to a slap your knee kind of show. There's a lot of stuff that's really funny. I would very much like, and I'm just going to say this now because I just saw Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, that movie.
That's the full title?
That's the full title. Off of the animated shorts.
Yeah.
You have got to see it. We have got to talk about it. I really want to talk about it. I'm just going to say, because nobody's going to know what you think about it, I'm going to say it's one of my favorite movies, definitely of the year. And I got to sit on it for a little bit, but I loved it. It's like it's everything an independent movie should be. And that is a very feel-good movie where it is funny, but a lot of the funniness comes from cutesy kind of things as opposed to, shocking, knee slapper kind of stuff. There's a lot of, it's like, you wouldn't expect necessarily this phrase or to come out of Marcel, or there's cute little things that he does, and it's just kind of, there's little surprises, but they're not done in a plot twisty kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I feel like can get down to more manipulative comedy. That's kind of late era Simpsons and basically all of South Park. I'm not saying South Park's not smart. It's definitely cut out a corner for it, but that's the reason why you can't have other South Parks, because they just do it so well. But it is very manipulative. Pixar is very manipulative, but they're very, very good because it's done very well. And then someone else tries to make you cry, tries to manipulate things just to make you cry right at the perfect moment. It's just like, it just doesn't work,
Yeah.
So anyway, at some point, I do want to talk about that, and I want to talk about it very soon, and we'll probably throw it in whatever the next episode is. We're talking Bob's Burgers. We haven't even talked about the movie yet, but there is a decent amount of setup here because
we're adding layers to this, like a burger.
Like, there you go.
Right now, you just laid the bun down.
Now, I want to say
that's time for the meat.
There's one more thing that I want to introduce here before getting on to the movie, and that is the Simpsons of it all. Because you just brought up, you made that comparison. What shirt am I wearing right now?
Steamed hams.
Steamed hams.
Great episode.
Great. Well, yes, it's a great segment of an episode that just took the internet by storm. Thought it was a nice crossover shirt to be wearing. Burgers, Simpsons. The reason I bring it up is because before I watched the Bob's Burgers movie, the day before, I watched the Simpsons movie. That's also up on Disney Plus. Bob's Burgers movie is going to be up on Disney Plus. And I wanted to see, how does that hold up? What kind of comedy is that? And I tried to put my mind back at that time of when it came out, because a lot of people were saying this is too late. It's much too late. There's no reason to make a movie now. It's just a way to remind people that The Simpsons are around. I disagree with that a little bit. I mean, even at the time, I thought, I guess maybe, but they had a clout. But as we've seen a lot of times, it doesn't necessarily matter how popular you are. What matters is if you can make a case that this thing is actually going to make money, and for whatever reason they decided that at the time it could make money. I don't exactly know the whole story about how it came to be, but this movie, they just had season 12 I guess come out, and this movie was made concurrently with season 11, the Bob's Burgers movie, so it was overlapped on top. And if you think basically it's 10 seasons, and then I'm assuming after that they're probably during the production of season 10, or when they get the green light to do season 10, that's probably where they introduce something about the movie, and then it goes forward, starts going into production. What was have you seen the Simpsons movie recently?
I think the last time I saw it was maybe last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
What was your feeling on that when you saw it? Semi-recently.
I enjoy. There's something like the most recent time I saw it. I think a lot of the jokes held up. I think they did a lot of stuff that they haven't, comedy-wise, that they haven't done in a while. There is some disappointment still in the fact that they didn't do the best couch gag that they could ever do.
Right. Yep.
The movie. Yep. Why would they skip that?
Funny enough, I'm just going to interrupt that and just say that I remember when it came out, and I think we've talked about this before, that why was the Bart roller or skateboarding nude gag not the couch gag?
Yeah.
Why was that not part of the couch gag? That should have kicked off, it should have had an introduction, which they did, and that should have been the kickoff to the couch gag.
Where they ran to the theater and same way and to watch the Itchy and Scratchy movie.
Sure. Yep. Same.
There's just so many things that and then why was the president Arnold Schwarzenegger? Which they didn't have him in their world. It had Wolf Castle, and all of a sudden he's that, and then the bad guys weren't. I feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe it's too cliche.
Yeah, Albert Brooks, he's playing basically the same. Like they could have actually had his character been reprised from I forget what his name was.
Oh, it was the
guy
Prohibition episode, right?
No, it was it was the evil. He went to go work in this town. It was like a self.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like some Bond villain guy.
I don't know whether they just didn't want to rely on, like, that would have been too fan servicey. Can you imagine like Sideshow Bob and Mr. Burns teaming up for something? I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of things they could have done. And
Right. Okay. So setting the stage on that, this is what we know about a TV show, hand-drawn TV show that gets a movie. We didn't watch Teen Titans Go, but we did watch Teen Titans Go to the movies. We didn't watch the My Little Pony show, but we did watch the movie.
Yeah.
So there are times that we have seen hand-drawn movies based on shows, but this is, at least for me, this is the first time in the run of the podcast, I believe, that I have been able to see a hand-drawn animated movie that was based off of a TV show that I actually follow, and that I have a direct comparison to in the Simpsons movie. They're both part of the animation block. They're on Fox, like even currently. They were both Fox properties. They both had their movies come out. I'm going to say relatively similar timing. I mean, Simpsons gets a different type of timing, being like one of the longest running sitcoms of all time. Which is it? Is it the longest running sitcom?
Yeah, I think it was going against Gunsmoke at some point, and that was a long time ago. But I mean, can you count like late night talk shows and stuff, or I mean, like
no, because so it is the longest, because the second longest is South Park, followed by Family Guy. So really, it is these animated shows. Actually, number 4 is Curb Your Enthusiasm, strangely enough, and then 5 is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Anyway, just going back to it. This is why I wanted to just set this up in a way where you're coming from, where I'm coming from, and introduce the Simpsons movie, because I'm sure that we're going to go back to that over and over at some point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Bob's Burgers movie.
Yeah.
I really want you to introduce what the plot is of the Bob's Burgers movie. Now, don't worry. He's not going to spoil anything. If he accidentally steps on anything, I'll just cut it off, or I'll cut it out.
So
See, exactly. So,
I hope my foot.
What is the plot of the Bob's Burgers movie?
Okay, so the plot is right in front of the Bob's Burgers restaurant, a giant hole appears from a pipe bursting. Because of that, it kind of interferes with their business. Bob also there's like a lease kind of issue, and so he has to get a certain amount of money before they lose their restaurant. There's also a mystery going on. Now, I think this is in the trailer. Louise falls inside the hole and she discovers something. That's part of the mystery. You would think if something like this, I gotta raise money for the restaurant, not Bob. He would go to some kind of wacky adventure. We gotta leave our town and go to New York City. I'm gonna keep rambling.
Is it? Are you done? Is that the end of the plot? Actually, you were off on a good. It was going pretty well there.
Yeah.
For a moment. You explained it's just that there's a sinkhole right out in front of the restaurant, and they have to pay off money, and so there's a ticking clock kind of thing, and they have to solve something. So that's like the adult storyline, and the kid storyline is there's something in the sinkhole, and it kind of opens up this mystery where the kids are always off, solving some sort of mystery, and obviously it's a movie, it's got to come together at some point, and you're always kind of like wondering, how is this all going to come together? And I thought it was very good. It was very satisfying. Overall, what was your what was your take on the plot? Was this enough to drive the movie for you?
Yeah, and you know what, it was so simple of a plot that it could have just been a regular episode. And I like
it's funny that you say that, because it is the plot of a of a regular episode, basically. But I'm not going to say which one it is because that would give away something in the movie. But there's some fun stuff that's in there. There's like some things, like I said, I'm going to bring it back to the Simpsons movie kind of over and over. But there's everyone's wondering like, okay, what's the thing? You know, it's rated PG-13, right? So swearing. Are they going to get drunk like Bart in the Simpsons movie? Are we going to see Gene's Joey Chestnut? Like, are we going to see?
That was a weird thing about the Simpsons movie.
What is it for Bob's Burgers? There's some things that like fans had been asking about and kind of curious about over the course of the run of those 12 seasons. I mean, by the time that you see the movie, it's not mysteries. It's just kind of like character development stuff that they've been leading up to that they do show in the movie. It's very satisfying if you follow it. I'm very curious because to me, this was great. It was like everything that I wanted in a movie that was a Bob's Burgers movie. It was a 3-part episode, if that makes sense. Like it would have to be split up. It would either be a really overly fast 2-parter or it'd be like a 3-part episode. It didn't break the rules of the show. It kept the rules of the show. It kept, it at least confined where the show usually is. Everything looked better. The animation, the lighting, we'll get to that in a bit, but everything looked better. It felt like a movie. I felt good about watching on the big screen. There were a few things like we'll also talk about the music, but the sound was also done very well. The amount of characters that they deal with was not like overblown. I never really felt like I was getting pandered to. That happens a lot in movies where it's like, hey, remember this? Remember this? There's a couple things like in the Simpsons movie that are fun when you see them, like when they finally jump the gorge, like. Yeah. And then you see the ambulance that has crashed in the tree, which apparently they never they never took that away. But you see things like that, and they kind of introduce some stuff in the Simpsons movie, and some things are kind of like, remember or see this, and that's kind of also part of the things that were the least successful stuff in the Rescue Rangers movie. I think I brought up that thing about the Silly Putty character, the Clay character, who like says, remember that? Remember when we used to do this kind of thing? Well, you don't say that. Like that's a thing that you introduce, and then the parents turn to the kids and go, "Oh, this is a thing," and then you can. But saying it out loud just seems so, I don't know, so like hacky and kind of cringy. And you don't get that with this movie, with the Bob's Burgers movie. To me, so as a fan, I think it doesn't talk down to me as a fan. There's still some things that I enjoyed following every single episode. How was it for you, having seen, more than a handful? I mean, you've seen like,
Yeah, I felt like it was enough where I don't know whether I like when like a movie based on a show goes all out and just, makes changing things that will kind of affect the show later on. But like, I like that things were kind of like, they know that they're going to continue doing episodes. So it was pretty much like, let's keep it, let's tease a little things that fans would kind of want, but let's also kind of like not go completely crazy because, it was an episode that had more staff pretty much. And more involved. More staff, more money, more, exactly. So it was just like, wouldn't it be great if we had an episode like this? And it was kind of, I think that's the best way to kind of like celebrate a series, Now I do wonder.
Yeah, no, I think so.
If they did go on this like grand adventure somewhere, it would be interesting too. But I think you could maybe save that for an episode where they go somewhere. So
there's two shows that are kind of in this this style world, right? So like you had Family Guy, and then you had like American Dad and Cleveland Show, and those are kind of those are your spinoffs. This is our Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda, stuff like that, where they're spin-off of characters, and you don't have spin-off of characters exactly in this, but you have kind of what I would call like stylistic spin-offs, or spiritual spin-offs where it looks like it's in the same world. So you have Central Park, which is on Apple TV. That's the musical, which, you know, the characters look like they could exist in the Bob's Burgers world. And then you have The Great North, I think is what it's called, which I think I have said this on the podcast, maybe not, that I saw a couple episodes, and I saw the first 2 episodes, and then I skipped to, I think, episode 10, which was I found on IMDb and Ranker and wherever else, you know, the only places that people say, like, this is the best episode, and I watched that one, and it just wasn't for me. It didn't really hit.
I remember you mentioning it.
Yeah. But stylistically very similar. There was one thing that was really disturbing to me, which is like, I'm used to seeing these designs without teeth, and there's a character with very prominent like braces on teeth, like it's like Big Mouth, you know, it's like all the words have her teeth there.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just weird to see teeth on these characters now, because I've seen so many.
It's like Kermit randomly having teeth at some point.
It's not really a character having teeth. It's the style, you know.
Yeah.
It's if Muppets never had teeth, and then all of a sudden one Muppet had teeth, it would be just very weird. Anyway, so those kinds of things where, like, I'm glad that they didn't do something where they had to go to Alaska, another the Simpsons crossover, where they had to go to Alaska and they, you know, had like some sort of meetup crossover with the characters in the Great North or something. Like, I'm glad that they didn't do anything like that, because they could have I just want to introduce what they very easily could have done in the most cynical world, in the most cynical.
This is.
But maybe they didn't. I'm trying to think. I don't know what it's on. I just wanted to say, like, I don't even know what the rights are. I'm just saying.
If I didn't know what the plot was and I didn't already seen it, and like I didn't know anything about it, I would assume. And you tell me, what would a Bob's Burgers movie be? If, let's say, the movie never came out, I would said a big McDonald's type of corporation opens up across the street from Bob, and now Bob has to compete with that place, and then there's an evil businessman running it, you know, which I think this is this is the plot of Good Burger.
Sure. It's also, I mean, it's also every every one of those like college like Animal House kind of stories where it's, you know,
and then Gene gets an argument with Bob, and he starts working for that company, and he becomes their mascot.
Yep.
Just all kinds of scenarios like that.
Yeah. And that's not out of the realm of possibility to happen on the show. But yeah, you're talking like a very stereotypical kind of plot. And like I said, this is one that they've done, you know, pretty similar to something that they've done kind of in the past. But the way I think that it was put together was very good, because it got to play around. You got to go around the town, you know, a lot, which is something that I like. You know, I want to see more parts of the town. I want to see the characters that I know. I want them to, you know, have little cameos. It's what happened with The Simpsons. You built this whole world, and The Simpsons movie, the whole point of making The Simpsons movie was to have that one fly-through shot of them with the torches and pitchforks walking down the street and just seeing like every character walking towards you. That's why they made the movie. That shot. It's like saying the reason you make the Avengers is so you can have that fly around shot where they're all standing there. It's the reason to make the Bob's Burgers movie is to show the world that you've developed, the characters, the town, to have all of that come together. But the other thing is that they have a lot of songs in the show that show up from time to time, and this one had a fair amount of songs. There's only a handful, really. I think it's like 4 or 5, something like that. I don't exactly know or remember how many.
Yeah, I thought that was
musical numbers there are.
Going into it, I thought that was going to be a little overwhelming, hearing too many songs. It's just like, oh no,
right. And they're done in such a good way where it's more, you know, all the songs are like plot oriented. there's something that kind of helps a lot. It's something that's,
Yeah. And the animators have a great time, I'm sure, coming up with these dances. I don't know whether they tell them, figure out a dance, animate it. If you can animate it, go for it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a choreographer, right? Because there's, I mean, even if there's not, I mean, the board artists that basically end up being the choreographer. But there was a few dances that were very specifically choreographed. But there was one dance in particular that I thought it was so funny and so fun to watch. They were doing a lot of angles of rotated on X, where you'd see like kind of top down or bottom up, which are always really hard angles to do for characters. So, okay, plot. I feel like we give a thumbs up. We give a ding, positive thumbs up.
Bell's good. He's in the diner. Ding.
Right. You have a tendency to say out loud the thing that I've said this one gets a ding.
Yeah, but then you change your mind.
No, I didn't change my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Plot works out. Music. I don't think we're going to talk too much about it, but I do want to make special mention of the sound. But music, what'd you think?
I thought the songs were fun. Some were catchy. I don't think anything could be better as the songs in South Park. I think I still hum a lot of the South Park songs till this day. I think they were just straight up bangers. And I don't remember any of the Bob's Burgers songs.
Well, can I just say it's possible that you don't remember any of them because you didn't like download them or have the soundtrack and then listen to them constantly? Like what you're saying, it's kind of like,
okay, I'm being a little biased.
It's kind of like when people say like, those classic musics are so much better than songs today. I was like, yeah, that's because the only ones that survive are the ones that you sing over and over and over again.
Stairway to Heaven. Forget about it. It's amazing. Not like these Justin Timberlake's. I can't think of anything. Now I'm old.
Oh, it's Justin Timberlake's classic music now. That's
Oh God, yeah. As
anyway.
far as music goes, I thought it was really fun, and I enjoyed a lot of the songs in there.
So did I. I enjoyed the songs mostly as a place for the set pieces. For the musical portion of it was really fun. Whenever they had a number that they were doing, they just stopped and they're doing like a West Side Story kind of dance. They're not going into Fantasy World or something. Yeah. The sound was very good. What I started to notice is little things like, I can't remember what scene it was, but there was a scene where they were in an enclosure. It's not echo, but it's kind of like a tinny reverberation kind of thing. It was very subtle, but watching it on the big screen meant that you had the crazy sound system around it, and I could hear it. They actually made the sound be what it would be in the different environments. They walk outside and it felt like it was open. They're inside. It felt like they were in a room, They actually did a pretty decent job of making it feel like they were in the environments that they were in.
I'm not really I don't pay too much attention to the details of the sounds. As you can see from my cartoons, how poorly sounding they are. Yeah,
yes. It's like the only thing I ever criticize him for when he uploads something. I'm like, God, couldn't you have just it's the only thing. I never really talk about I'll just be like, oh, I caught a loop here, or something was like off here, or something like things that you'll do. It's almost like my brain just goes into QC mode. But the one thing that I always am like, sound, and it was the battles. Really, you would have like something super super loud and then something else super super quiet, and like, oh my God, I have to mix this now.
And much like the audio for many of episodes of these podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can't tell you too much about what I thought about the sound. I thought it sounded great. I thought the voice actors sounded great. Do you want to talk about any celebrities that were involved?
Sure. I'll say one. Only if you're a fan of the show will you know who it is. I mean, I guess you could look it up, but it's the grand return of Jericho. That's the only one I'll say.
All right.
Why? Who do you want to say?
Yeah, I think it was that one.
It's not really the grand return. It's just like
Yeah. Oh, that's
you know.
one good thing that they did to production wise. Whenever the kids they weren't dreaming. They were some of them were dreams. Whenever they go to like a dream sequence or something like that.
Yep.
That kind of stuff was fun, and I think that allowed them to kind of use that movie budget for something kind of fun like that. Where how like Beavis and Bud Do America, where they started
Butthead. It's
Butthead.
I swear to God, it sounds like you just say Beavis and Butt.
Oh, Beavis and Butt.
No, you say Beavis and Butt. That's what it sounded like to me.
Beavis and Bud.
It sounded like you said Beavis and Butt. I don't know. Maybe it's Zoom audio. Oh yeah, maybe I'll come back and I'll introduce it during the intro. That I could not get you over to my apartment to record it in person.
Yeah, Beavis and Butt. When they started, I guess
Beavis and
hallucinating. When they started hallucinating, and that was because like MTV told them they wanted kind of them to look at a music video in the movie, and they set up for that. Yep. But yeah, I think that's a cool thing to do if you're gonna keep things simple in the movie world. To have an escape like that would be the best way they did it was through a dream sequence or like hallucinating kind of thing. Bob's Burgers did that, which I thought was cool.
Do you want to talk about your Bob's Burgers short? Now that we're talking about shorts, do you want to talk about your little cartoon that you made that I tore apart the moment you uploaded it?
Yes, so this came. This happened because I was just in bed laying down, and I just kept going. I kept trying to imitate voices because I try to do if I have a cartoon idea, I try to like mimic the voice the best way I can. I said, how would I do Bob? And it just turned out like this. My name's Bob. So
which doesn't, first of all, it doesn't sound anything like H. John Benjamin.
Yeah, whatever. Like, you do what you can do. I just he sounds more like a perverted Bob or something. I don't know. It's just, so I just kept going. My name's Bob's Burgers. I make burgers. My name's Bob. I make burgers.
Yeah, you could just go watch the thing. Okay, okay, so the joke was that his name is Bob Burgers and he makes burgers, Bob's Burgers. And I said that they already made that joke in the show itself. Teddy, it was season 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch your last name. Flush.
Your name's Max Flush and you're looking for a toilet? That's funny.
And his name is Bob Burger.
What?
His name is Bob Burger.
It's not.
It is.
It isn't, no.
It's not?
No. Are you serious?
Bob Burgers. Bob Burgers. Then who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
But the side.
That's all the
Well,
side.
in this movie, Teddy, and it's in the trailer, Teddy builds a food cart, calls the food cart Bob Burgers.
Yeah.
So like Teddy doesn't learn his lesson at all. It's not Bob Burgers, it's Bob's Burgers. Anyway, so you uploaded that and I was like, not only did they make the joke already in the show, but they made the joke in the movie that you're referencing, and he doesn't sound anything like H. John Benjamin. I just tore it apart.
How about the Linda?
Did the internet like it?
I didn't think anyone was going to notice that. It does have 3K views. One person did acknowledge that episode, and I served them with a quote from that episode to cover my tracks.
What episode? What was the quote?
Oh well, they said something from there, and then I wrote it's on the side or something. It's what it says on the side. It's what what's his name says.
Yes, yeah.
But there are some people who are like, yeah, man, I feel you. I hate that show too. And I was like, no, I didn't want to. How come you can't make fun of something and like something? Like they people thought I was. Just
well, because you reduced it down to this is what I do. I just make this thing. This is all that I do.
It's not making sense.
Yes, I thought it was not your best work.
Oh
I'm
no,
just gonna say.
It was very greedy. I was trying to.
And had you told me about it ahead of time, I could have saved you the grief.
I was fishing for views. It was cheap. It was a cheap, low-hanging burger that I put out there to wrangle people in. And it's not, yes, I will admit, I didn't do that. I didn't post that thinking it was going to change lives. I know one of us does a great Linda. Mine's is okay. But I heard someone here do a Linda one time, and it was.
I've done it on the show multiple times. You can go look for it. This is something that the audience would be listening to and go, why would you review the Bob's Burgers movie and not do the voice?
Exactly.
So you brought up the voice cast, I guess. You brought up a celebrity voice cast. There's not really a lot of celebrity voices. They don't really come out of nowhere. Everything in this movie works for the movie. That's the thing that I just want to impress on people, is that it is not when I saw it, it does not feel like it was something that was only done for money or anything like that. We will talk about the money aspect in a little bit as well. But I get this off of IMDb because I wanted a quick reference to all of the voice cast changes. Now, I think we've talked about maybe we talked about it on the podcast, maybe not, but the recasting of voices on Central Park, right? And this is the world of the Bob's Burgers aesthetic or whatever, that there's been some recasting to not have white actors play people of color. And on this show, there's reporter Olson Benner, originally voiced by Pamela Adlon, is now played by Nicole Byer. Similarly, Black Wagstaff student Harley, originally played by Katie Crown, is now played by Ashley Nicole Black. So those are the two casting changes that were for issues of representation. Then, I'm just going to tell you this, because when Mickey, who is a very popular character on the show, who was originally voiced by Bill Hader, Mickey showed up on the show one time and his voice was like super different. And I think Lauren Bouchard voiced him himself. It's voiced by a totally different person now, John Cuban, because Bill Hader, in the movie anyway, because Bill Hader was not available. To me, it was very distracting because Bill Hader has such a recognizable voice, and it's not just the voice. It's also like you kind of attach some of the way that he reads things and some of the way that he delivers lines to the character itself. When he's not voicing it, it does feel just a little bit different. Like, I know the character and I know what they're going for, but there's a different kind of this is going to sound weird, but I feel like when Bill Hader's voice kind of fits the nice criminal voice more than the new guy, if that makes sense. Where the new guy he feels a little bit more like nice. You just have to mentally go, you're going to see a decent amount of Mickey in this movie, and it's a completely different voice. And I think that's just going for they just recast him and
wasn't distracted for me because I didn't really know that character.
Right. So I mean, he's one of my favorite characters. But I mean, Bill Hader was deep in making Barry at the time, the new season of Barry. Which, are you caught up on Barry, by the way?
Not at all.
Really?
No, I have to get into it. But
it's great. But I think that Leanne's criticism of it, I think she'll appreciate this season a lot more. There's one or two scenes in there, because she doesn't like the silly stuff, right? I think there's one or two scenes in there that are, kind of like silly, comedic world kind of thing. But the rest of it is dead serious.
Okay, all right. That was a little bit of my thing, too. I felt like the bad guys weren't threatening because they were being too silly.
See, I like it because I kind of knew that they were going to bring it back around, because they do it in the season 2 also. Like, yes, there's not threatening, but there's kind of a bumbling aspect to it as well. But this one, there's some serious stuff that happens this season. Anyway, so he was off doing that. Now we get to the last one, which is Jimmy Pesto.
Ooh. Originally
played by an actor by the name of Jay Johnston, who has showed up in so many. He's always that guy. You just point him out and be like, that guy.
He's in a lot.
You watched
of things
Mr. Show. He was in Mr. Show. He was, what's that?
I said he was in a lot of things that I love. One of them being Mr. Show.
Yeah, Mr. Show. He was in a ton of things, and he was if you saw, I mean, he was in Sarah Silverman also. He was in this Sarah Silverman show. He was, he's always playing a cop because he was also, he was one of the cops where, in Arrested Development, he was, a park ranger in Parks and Rec, who, it's funny because like he was the guy who was, not believing Leslie. He was just this chauvinistic guy who just was like, oh, it's because you're a woman. That's why this happened. And she's trying to play up to that to like get out of a problem. And I watched that episode recently with the news. Not to bury the lead here, but hey, remember that whole like thing? I don't know, sometime early January, a whole bunch of people stormed the capital of the United States of America.
Oh, yeah.
It's like people died. There's like hearings about it now. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh.
So
I remember
anyway.
seeing it. I thought it was fake. I thought it was just like, oh, he just looks like him. That's crazy.
I know. And the thing is, apparently, and this is crazy because apparently, like, people knew about his political side, about his like apparently it was a surprise, but not a huge surprise. Yeah, he was there. You get fired from your job if you're part of an insurrection. That's kind of the way that works. So he got fired, and they were already in the production of the movie and the show and everything. So he's there. The character is there. He just doesn't say anything.
Yeah, they give him some of his characteristics, like somebody that's the rollerblade guy passed by, and he like sprays him with a water hose. And
his character is there, but he doesn't say anything. So there's no voice actor behind the character, but he is in the movie. He's not a ghost presence in the movie. He's there, like you said. Anyway, I'm just going to read this off of Wikipedia. Controversies. So in March 2021, a Twitter message by the FBI was seeking the identity of a man at the 2021 United States Capitol attack, link included, click, who bore a resemblance to Johnston and who was identified as Johnston by friends of the actor. In December 21st, 2021, article by the Daily Beast, two of Johnston's friends said he admitted to being at the Capitol on January 6th after the FBI tweet and the news of his alleged participation. Johnston's friends and colleagues from Mr. Show with Bob and David reached out to Johnston but received no response. As of December 2021, Johnston was fired from Bob's Burgers. It is unclear if Johnston has been charged, arrested, or brought in for questioning. I'm going to now go back to the previous sentence, which was in 2015. Johnston appeared on The Gavin McInnes Show, a show hosted by the eponymous founder of the far-right extremist group, The Proud Boys. Something that I didn't know, and I don't know if it's just like his celebrity status was not big enough to like make the waves. He's always that guy. He's that guy. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was fake when it came out. I was like, what? No, that's crazy. And then when it turned out that no, it's true. His friend said, yes, it's true. And it doesn't surprise them that he would be there.
I feel like that's a lot of dedication, though. Like, there's one thing to be like Republican, but then like to say, oh yeah, that seems like a good idea to break into a building.
I mean, you're also right now you're referring to it was a decent amount of people. I don't know if you've seen the hearings, but they're still going on. You can catch up. There's a lot to it. Anyway, cartoons. Stuff always like makes its way in. So yeah, that's some of those recastings had gone on, or I guess it would be no castings. But it's very interesting the voices, the voice work. I mean, looking at the movie and the voice work in the movie, it's not dissimilar from the show. The show has the voice work. I mean, you got H. John Benjamin and, it's Dan Mintz and John Roberts, Kristen Schaal, Eugene Merman. These are like your main characters. just to read off, and again, these are people on the show: Zach Galifianakis, Kevin Kline, Gary Cole, Paul F. Tompkins, Nick Kroll, David Herman. There's the Silverman sisters, is Sarah Silverman and Laura Silverman, Jenny Slate, a Marcel the Shell crossover there, Jenny Slate, Andy Kindler, Phil Lamar, lots and lots of names. It's a great, great cast filled with people doing really good voice work.
Yeah, a lot of them weren't in the movie though, right? Like
these that I just read off are in the movie.
Oh, they are. Okay. Shows how much of it, and none of them were in it. They were all storming the Capitol.
Yeah,
the Bob's Burgers cast thought it was a great idea.
I mean, you just never know. But apparently they did know. And that's the thing. It's such a strange thing that like for that to even pop up and like what?
Can you imagine
anyway,
Benjamin yelling out, "Hang Mike Pence"?
I mean, I can because he's a voice actor, but I can't imagine him doing it in. Yeah, we laugh so that we may not cry. This is the world we live in. A lot of great voice work in here. Really great voice work. So let us now, I believe, move on to the visuals. The animation.
Yeah.
Right? Wow, is what I have to say. It looked great. I mean, I like the show. I like the animation on the show. I think it's very good. I think it sets its own tone for the style of animation. I think early on, I really enjoyed the way that they would use some of their animation and normal conversation, and then every once in a while they just have this dance break, like Jimmy Jr. would just go out there and he'd do this like crazy dance, and I look at that and I'm like, this just reminds me of Arjun Poopy. This reminds me of Bernard Derriman's animation style, who's the supervising director of the show. And then there's like special effects and things, and we've talked about this before. Adam Phillips had worked on the show, and and just seeing some of those names pop up in the credits was really fun. But the thing that I was taken by was not just the animation, how they took the animation language of the show and they extended it, like the facial expressions, and there are some things like the way that. You know how you build rigs, and sometimes the way that the neck goes into the head, it can either be drawn as one thing or it can be two separate things. And, you have the mouth comp, the jaws going up and down, that's separate on top of the neck. And it's all like a layering type of thing. Because they're changing angles so much in this, I saw a lot of like uniquely drawn neck to head shapes, if that makes sense. There was a lot of those flowy almond shapes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of having the layered mouth comp that's, much easier on top of it, the lip sync, a lot of it was, if not hand drawn, it was hand keyed. There was some smoothness to the animation that was not just swapping out the mouths. And we talked about this also on whenever we did, the battle talks or whatever. And we were, I think there was, I forget which one that I did, but I did hand-drawn lip sync animation. One of the things I was talking about was it's fun to hand draw stuff where when you do mouth comp, you set up however many you want, 8, 10, 12, 15, whatever, however many mouth shapes, and then you just swap them out. And this one felt like whenever they could, they were doing as much hand animated stuff. And it felt really good. It felt... Every scene felt very purposeful. Like they were choosing first, how do we want this to look? And then, okay, can we do it with our rigs? Do we need to build new stuff? Do we need to build new poses or new expressions or whatever? It seemed like they were starting with the design part first, as opposed to letting their tech do the walking, or if that makes sense, or do the talking.
I remember when the trailer came out, I saw people saying, "Oh, okay, so it's just Bob's Burgers with Shadow on there." I saw a couple of people complain about that. And I knew that they were going to do something really creative with the dancing, because they do that on the show.
Right.
I guess I didn't I knew, to some degree it was going to be a little fancier, because budget wise. But I was really impressed with a lot of the movement. It was fun seeing those characters move like that when the kids were walking down the street and dancing. It was like, it was like because like you said, sometimes in the show they'll just break out into these weird kind of movements because it's funny. It looks funny, and they did that a lot in this one. And then there was a time lapse at some point in front of the building, which I guess that was their kind of like homage to the beginning of the show. I don't know if you remember that, and you see the kind of the shadow in the building just kind of like moving around, and I thought that was really great. There was a lot of like unique shots like that in there that was really fun.
The shadows, the lighting. I think that's something that is also important to talk about, when you talk about cinematic lighting, because of the aforementioned craziness that's going on. And also, it does feel so strange to be doing these podcasts. I mean, we're an animation podcast. We're not, we're not getting anything political unless it specifically crosses over with what's going on now. Oh my God, there's so much stuff that's going on right now in the news and the world and in the United States it's almost overwhelming. So I just put on Star Trek: The Next Generation because I was like, I feel like I need a little. If I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch something, I feel like I want something uplifting. I just want to see I want to see a nice future, where you get past all this stuff and it's like, yeah, we kind of, I know there's bad stuff. There's always bad stuff. Bad stuff happens. But it's just a world you want to live in, So I went forward to Star Trek: Next Generation. I bring this up because the movies, or the Star Trek: Next Generation, it would have dramatic lighting when they could have dramatic lighting, but mostly when they were on the ship, it was just it was that sitcom lighting. It was flat lighting. There's no hard shadows that are going on for the most part anywhere. It's kind of everyone is evenly lit, and that's when you have cartoons. You can have dramatic lighting and stuff, but in general, you're not really doing a lot. You might build in the shadows naturally in parts that. Like creases of the body, like by the armpits and under the head, and by the legs and things like that, where it's like, you could build this into the thing. These are like permanent shadows kind of thing, and it gives the illusion of some sort of lighting work, but you don't have to constantly go through it. When the Star Trek movies came out, they did this super dramatic lighting on the ship, and it just took it because it's cinematic now. You need to have cinematic lighting, and it was just like, how awful would it be to work on the ship, because it was really poorly lit all the time. Imagine trying to do any work in that atmosphere. Constantly. It's just oh, it looks cool, but the light is not getting to this corner over here. Anyway, so when you move from a TV show to a movie, generally the thing, and this is live action and animation, you want to have some special lighting, and oftentimes, especially for animation, what that means is you get some soft Gaussian effects. You get kind of that soft rim lighting, which is you'd see it in the 90s. You see it in Space Jam, and of course we saw it in Roger Rabbit. That was the whole thing of it. But you saw it in Space Jam. You saw it in Looney Tunes back in action. Any time that they wanted to have a character that felt like they was in the real world, they had this kind of soft lighting kind of thing. Yeah. And this, it was a cell shaded, hard shaded kind of thing, where it was more comic booky, more TV, where it was a hard shadow. The thing that I was impressed by, if they were standing in an alleyway, which I'm thinking of a particular scene, there's some light that comes in, right? Let's say there's a hard light in one spot, and you have three characters that are standing in kind of a triangle. Each one of them had a different lighting to them. The character that was standing closest to the light didn't have as much shadow, but they did have kind of a rim shadow around them because they were mostly being lit from the front. Then the character who was standing back and to the other side of the character, behind the character, had, I don't know if they had shadow from the character on them, but they also had a different type of lighting. They had more shadow on one side of the face. And then the other character was even further back, very similar shadow to the other character, but the lighting of their face was more dim than the other one because light wasn't directly hitting their face, it's bouncing. It's a very simple, to look at and go, oh, this would be the lighting. But it was very clearly a decision to choose the lighting for each character based on where they were standing. And I kept thinking of this in terms of like a comic book. This would be like, the way that you would illustrate something like this. But they figured it out in a way that I don't really feel like I've seen as much of. You usually choose dramatic lighting and it'll affect either one character and then the other characters in the scene kind of take on the same lighting, or you'll have one character dramatically lit while the other characters all take on the same lighting. I don't really think that I've seen as much where each character has lighting that is reflective of where they're standing in the room specifically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was really unique. And we watched it when it came out. So that was like the beginning of June. And we're recording this on July 1st. So it's been a month since we've seen the movie. And so I only saw it the one time, and that stuck out in my head. So I think I'm remembering it correctly. I might be mashing a couple things, but there were a lot of instances like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't go like the airbrushy kind of shading, which, a lot of movies do. I think The Simpsons did it.
Thank you. Yes.
But yeah, I do like that hard shadow. Can I give you another Bob's Burgers plot of a movie that
I mean, please. It doesn't sound like you have anything else to say about the the shadows and the light. You're like, yes, all the things that you said, I agree with that.
Nighttime scenes great, daytime scenes even better. Somebody wants Bob's Burgers to expand and kind of like multiple Bob's Burgers around.
Franchise.
Yep. Franchise. There you go. And like, it gets too big for him. Like, he hates it. And he has like, they hired like writers to do the burger puns. And he hates that. They're all sitting down.
Oh, the burgers of the day?
Yeah. And like, they're just like, what could be, we'll put a hashtag on there. And then Bob's like, no, I don't want any of this. Linda, stop them. That was it.
You know what's funny about your impression? Can I just say this? Your impression sounds more like a sick Coach McGurk than it does Bob. Like, I can kind of see where you're coming from in the H. John Benjamin voice, but it's more like the voice that he does for Louise's teacher, the bigger woman who, like, she just had it. I forgot what her name is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what you sound like.
Yeah. Listen, at least I sound a little like something from there.
Here, do that voice again. Say something, and I'll put a clip from her right after it.
Okay. Linda, you gotta stop these puds. These puds are awful.
I'm gonna have a coconut macchiato and put on my thinking cap.
Exactly. I'm just saying, there it is. You are doing a version of H. John Benjamin, but you're doing H. John Benjamin doing a voice of another character, not Bob.
There we go. All right, it's close.
Okay, not bad. I'll give you that. It's close enough. You've dialed into something.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now continue. What was your pitch?
Oh yeah, that's it. He wants to franchise it, then he stops it in the end. That would have been another.
Oh, that's it. It's just franchise. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So we're on animation.
Cool. Oh, Miss LeBons was the name of the character. Miss LeBons.
LeBons. James.
LeBons. Exactly. Oof. Exactly. So yes, the animation was great. The lighting was very good. The dancing was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed the dancing. We've already talked about that for the most part, but They didn't really overdo it, but I know that one of the things that it felt like they were having a lot of fun doing the dancing and doing the dance numbers. The environments were very good where they were. I really like the environments on Bob's Burgers. There's something that I have a personal. I find it ubiquitous that animated shows in general, and like I'm definitely guilty of this, when you have to set something in a room, the lens angle is a bit wide, where it feels like, even if you're trying, it's like a sitcom, the Friends apartments or whatever. You want to be able to have everybody in the apartment, but it's like totally unreasonable that they would have these apartments in New York City. I just watched this show, The Bear. Put it up on Hulu. It's great. It's eight episodes. And they're in a kitchen, and the kitchen feels confined, very claustrophobic. You have to, turn a lot of corners. It's kind of hard to see everything that's there because it looks like a real. If they didn't film in a real kitchen, I'd be very surprised if they maybe recreated one to have the same type of layout. But it felt like being in a kitchen, a decent size kitchen. I mean, it's not the tightest, but for a show, it is. Bob's Burgers being inside their restaurant, and especially when they're in the back, and their apartments, like the hallway, the bedrooms, everything feels like it's small enough to where when they go to a classroom, or they're in a restaurant, or they're in a place that, if you're in Bob's and then you go to Jimmy Pesto's right across the street, Jimmy Pesto's feels open. It feels like, even visually, it feels like it's a more successful place. He has a bigger place. It's open, has a bar there, everything. It just feels a lot bigger than his, which feels very small. And their apartment that lives above, and even the house, just kind of everything feels squished. When they're sitting at the table having breakfast, everything feels kind of pushed in together, which is great. And they continue that. Their backgrounds are very good. I really like what they do with their environments.
From what I know, financially, they're not doing always
right.
Well.
Exactly. Yes.
So it kind of shows their struggle, and having kids, having their own kids work with them, kind of just gives that feeling of like they're working small, and much like they did with the movie itself. Yeah. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, I really like it.
Oh, do we?
I think we have to.
We ate something while watching this movie. We ate burgers.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go. Wait, what?
We ate burgers. Yeah, we watched it at the Alamo Draft House, so we got to we got to watch it while eating burgers.
Yes, we did. That's it? That's all you wanted to say?
I just thought that was like a little fun thing to do. If you're gonna watch Bob's Burgers, you gotta eat some burgers.
That's true. I do feel that way. I was going to say that I'll just jump right into it. So we were talking about animation. This is Dale Baer's last credit in a movie. Dale Baer, longtime animator for Disney, did a bunch of things. Probably most well known for doing the animation Yzma on Emperor's New Groove. But he worked, and he did Simba, adult Simba on Lion King, and it's big, but it's not Yzma. Yzma's a wonderful character, but he worked on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He did a lot of freelance work, so he was doing things like, I guess he had worked on some of the Winnie the Pooh animated shorts. He animated on the movie, the 2011 movie. He animated Owl, which is something that I saw and reviewed. This is on the podcast, or this is on the blog. He animated on Mickey's Christmas Carol, I guess, as a freelancer. So he kind of like came in and out. Tom and Jerry, the movie. He was uncredited on Last Action Hero, but he animated on that. Treasure Planet, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, all those like newer stuff. Princess and the Frog. Remember Ballad of Nessie? That was the animated short that was shown before Winnie the Pooh.
No.
So he actually animated on both those. He was a supervising animator. Looks like from Emperor's New Groove. Looks like it was his first supervising animator role. And then he was doing development work, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Zootopia, Moana. And then his last work was on the Bob's Burgers movie. He sadly passed away from complications due to ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. which is like, God, what a nightmare as someone in just in general, but someone in visual arts, someone who uses their hands a lot.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad movie to end with,
No, it's great, and it really and. Let's also mention about the hand-drawn animated aspect of this, the 2D animated aspect. Of course, computers are used in everything, and Toon Boom is, but it has that. It's a 2D aesthetic. 2D aesthetic seems to be coming back around, baby. It's everywhere. Disney bought Fox, so. Technically, I guess a Disney release. It's a 20th Century Fox release. There's some fun little stuff in there. When I watched the Simpsons movie and they had the 20th Century Fox, and it was da 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 da. It was
and Ralph, yeah.
Ralph, yeah. Da 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 da. It was. I loved it. I laughed so hard at it. And they have a similar thing for this, so it's just kind of, it really, if you watch the Simpsons movie and then you watch this, it feels like it's almost not a successor, but it almost feels like it is paying off on some of the things that we liked, I guess, about the Simpsons movie. And like I said, we've seen some hand-drawn animated movies that have been released in the theater recently. I mean, the last I saw specifically American produced stuff in the United States, hand-drawn animated, especially the big production companies like Disney. Yeah, it was Winnie the Pooh in 2011. There's, I'm thinking about the things that we've talked about, and the My Little Pony movie that we said, the Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
When The Simpsons came out, they were making a big deal about like 2D movie coming back to the theater, and I feel like this was the same argument still. And Simpsons movie came out in 2007, I think, around that time.
Yeah.
So whenever something like this comes out, there is like a big kind of like in the animation community kind of cheering of like, but this is we got to go support it and all that. So it was nice to see that it was doing well for a 2D animated movie based on a series,
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's a like, Hey Arnold had a movie, and it's just like, there's. I think the idea that this somehow, and the same with the Simpsons movie, is going to be, this is it. It's going to bring back 2D animation. It's not. Bob's Burgers got a movie because Bob's Burgers is popular. And people want to see the movie because they like the characters. It is it's like, I guess I could relate it to the 80s TV shows based on toys. Kids want to watch the TV show because they have the toys, or there's a toy crossover tie-in of some sort. Eventually, you make your way into the what could be described as the SpongeBob era of creator-driven cartoons. Obviously, there are other cartoons around, but from SpongeBob, it exploded. Right now, it's like the other way around. You created things and then made toys off of it, and that was one of the big stories. I think it was around the time when Jerry Beck sold Cartoon Brew, or he left, and then it was just Ahmed that was doing it. I think it was around that time that he made the story. The timeline's a little fuzzy, but I remember there were a lot of like inflammatory posts around then, because I heard nothing but like, it's all going downhill or whatever. It's like, one of it was about how it was My Little Pony. There was I remember a famous post on Cartoon Brew about My Little Pony, and how it was like there was the creator-driven era, and then now we're going back to like the toy-driven era, and Hasbro is doing all these things, and we've seen it. We've seen She-Ra and stuff. It's not like, but things go in kind of a cyclical rotation.
Yeah.
When we talked about movies and I know I'm going off on a thing, but when we talked about movies or the Netflix aspect, and I think it was actually the last episode, we were talking about how what's the Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
And how there are some people who just won't watch animation, but they'll watch something if they're like, oh, I couldn't even tell it was animation. And it was all about the wow factor. It was all about the, oh, that's cool, that's new. And CG has been that for like a long time. Oh, that's cool, that's different, that's unique. And they tried to do it with 3D stuff, like 3D movies, like actual with the glasses and everything. Remember when 3D TVs were a thing that people were getting, and like those are all dead now. Like nobody's getting those. But they tried to get that going, and various times throughout history we've had 3D. Famously, Creature from the Black Lagoon was originally released in 3D. I mean, that's how often that we've gone through this process of trying to get 3D to catch on. But really, it's more an experience thing. It's more like it's not going to be every movie, and it's very hard for that kind of thing to happen. And we may have gotten to the point where we saw the end of like the crazy high budget 2D animated movies. But that doesn't mean that as the extreme popularity of CG starts to wane a little bit and they start to bring in other things. That's what we were talking about in the Klaus review, I believe, as you start to see CG pull in things that you've learned from 2D and try to merge those aesthetics, and Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, things like that. Yeah. And then you have something like Klaus that's trying to pull in the things that people like and people learn from the CG stuff into the hand-drawn stuff. So it's just about how can we get the best looking thing, and also when you're talking about big budget stuff, it's got to be a bit of a wow factor. It's got to be I got to see that, Some of that is big budget blockbuster movies, which I think may be why How to Train Your Dragon worked out so well. It's an incredibly cute dragon main character, looks good, and it was a spectacle.
But look at the turn of events, though. Bob's Burgers movie comes out, does great. Lightyear, apparently it's doing not that great in the box office.
Terribly.
And it's weird to me. I don't think people could get over the fact that it's not Tim Allen's voice, but that makes sense that it's not his voice. I don't know. I don't know if that's not right. The reason. It's not like a bunch of Home Improvement fans are like.
Let's at least mention something now about the budgets. What do you think the budget? I think we might have talked about this, but you probably forgot. What do you think the budget was for the Bob's Burgers movie?
40,000. No, 40 million.
Where'd you get that number from?
It just seemed like a good number for something like this.
Well, I don't have an accurate number here, but it has been talked about that the general estimation is 60 million.
Oh, that was close.
You were close. It was predicted that the opening weekend it was going to pull in about 10 million. Yeah. How much do you think it pulled in?
They were predicting it would be 10 million?
They were predicting 10 million.
40 million.
No. It's 12. It was 12.5 million. I'll just save you the thing because it's
okay. I was going to go around
interesting
there.
Radio. It was pretty close, but it was just a little bit better than what they were predicting for the opening. And overall, right now we're a month on. Overall, it's mostly getting its money from domestic. Domestic, it's made a little over 31 million. Internationally, it's made a little over 2 million. I want to introduce Lightyear since you brought this up.
Yeah.
What do you think the budget for Lightyear was?
Ooh. I'm going to say 75 million.
75 million? We're talking about a Pixar movie.
100 million.
So you thought it cost less than 2 times as much as the Bob's Burgers movie. Pixar movie.
Bob's Burgers was 60 million. Pixar movie, 500 million.
Okay, well now you're going Michael Bay, whatever. No. It was 200 million is what is reported.
All right. Well, I said 100 million, so that's not...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you were only half of the... How much do you think it pulled in on its opening weekend? Remember, Bob's Burgers cost 60 million, reported 60 million, and on its opening weekend pulled in 1/6 of that, pulled in $10 million. Now, Lightyear cost $200 million, likely. That's what's reported. We don't know if that includes things like the advertising and things like that. I'm literally just going off of whatever numbers are given me. What do you think the opening was?
I'm going to say 20 million.
No. It was 50 million. Lightyear is trading off of like Pixar's like most popular property. It's the voice of Captain America, and like it was pushing it pretty hard. Yeah. And it makes only 50 million on the opening weekend, so 5 times as much as Bob's Burgers movie. It should have done better. I thought it was an interesting comparison. The one that I really wanted to make, I only said that because you brought it up, and I want to do this a little bit faster. What do you think the budget of the Simpsons movie was?
About the same as Bob's Burgers, maybe like 30.
Yeah, it was 75 million. Oh, okay. 75 million was the budget. What do you think it made in its opening weekend?
25 million.
75 million. It made back its budget opening weekend.
I guess it's also, I mean, The Simpsons has been just around for as long as, like, in my life, as long as trees have been around.
Sure. Well, I mean, it came out in 2007. Yeah. Right? When did the show premiere?
1990? 1990, I think.
89. Yeah, it was like 17 years. So it was only released, Bob's Burgers released like 5 years earlier. Comparatively.
But the thing is also, I think people were asking for a Simpsons movie for many years. I don't think anyone ever really asked for a Bob's Burgers movie. If anything, I thought a Family Guy movie would have been already made.
Oh, yeah.
Loves musicals, loved doing all these kinds of productions. I'm shocked.
Now I want to share the final comparison.
Yeah.
South Park, bigger, longer, uncut. What do you think the budget was for that movie?
50 million.
Interesting. Why do you think that?
Because it's South Park, and it's a good enough budget, I think, for what they're doing.
$21 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like a third of the Bob's Burgers movie, between a quarter and a third of the Simpsons movie. Opening weekend. What did South Park make? Remember, Bob's Burgers made 10 million. Simpsons made 75 million. Lightyear made 50 million. It's also maybe important to point out that Bob's Burgers released in 3,400 theaters. Lightyear released in 42 or 4,300 theaters. And Simpsons released in about 4,000 theaters. So like they're all released about the same. South Park released in about 2,000. So about half the theaters.
Half the theaters.
On its release. Basically.
I think 60 million.
No, not even close to that. It was about 11 million. It made half its budget back on opening weekend.
Ah, okay.
The Simpsons movie has crushed all of the movies that we talked about now. Bob's Burgers, South Park, and Lightyear. I mean, Lightyear has only been out for like 2-3 weeks or something like that, so it's a little unfair, but it is a Pixar movie. Simpsons made a ton of money. Simpsons was very successful. I just thought that was interesting. And the other thing is, South Park was released in 1997. The South Park movie was released in 1999.
Which is crazy because there's so much many characters and stuff added after the movie came out.
Right. It is crazy to think about them going from that premiere and then 2 years later coming out with the movie. That's insane. That's insanity.
Should you jump the gun and do the movie quick when you have a successful show, or should you wait a long time?
Well, that's maybe why it was released so in a smaller amount of theaters. But if you look at it in terms of like the budget was 20 million. It domestically it pulled in 52. I mean, it more than doubled its money.
Yeah.
Worldwide, 83. It's
I think
I mean, it made.
With South Park, there wasn't much pressure because it was like, oh my God, the kids get to curse even more. With Bob's Burgers, there's not a lot of pressure. And I think with The Simpsons, it's been on so long that to have a movie, it has to be pretty damn good for, The Simpsons because it's like, it's been out for so long. So I think, I think maybe doing a movie a little earlier might help with the factor of like being too overwhelmed with story because there's just so much history with it, and that's why Bob's movie worked.
I've just gone down the rabbit hole now of budgets, and I just wanted to know, like, Toy Story 4. It was released in 2019, which is 3 years before Lightyear. That was the last Toy Story thing. Its budget was also $200 million, and opening weekend. It pulled in $120 million. I mean, worldwide, it was $1 billion.
Well, I guess because they love Toy Story, because they're toys and everything. And I guess I think people just don't understand what they're doing with this.
That's the thing.
And it's
a weird thing. And we haven't seen it. I just think it is interesting. You brought that up, and I didn't even think about comparing it to Lightyear. Funny, it was released alongside Maverick. That's what everyone was talking about. Like, no one's gonna watch Bob's Burgers movie. They're gonna wait to go see Maverick. I haven't seen Maverick.
Me either.
I probably won't. I mean, I will when it comes out on TV, unless someone drags me to it.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna commute there. Take a highway
to the danger zone.
I wasn't flying to the theater,
I really liked it. I thought it was everything that I had wanted in a Bob's Burgers movie.
As someone who's not an extreme fan, but enjoyed the show, I felt it was fun to see them on the big screen, and I did have a smile on my face while watching it. I thought it was, there was like an excitement to see like a series, do a little extra on their production. So
it's like watching one of your friends make good. It's like, oh, look, name up on the big screen. Look at this. It felt good. It almost felt like you were kind of a part of it. And I think I even mentioned when we had brought it up, when we teased the idea of doing it and went through all of our burger puns. I think I had mentioned about how like people in the theater were reacting as though they care about these characters. Like they were reacting when something positive happened to them or something negative happened. Like you're watching like a friend or something happened to a friend. There's a few things to look out for. I am going to go back and I want to check out some of the things apparently in season 12, because there's the sinkhole in front of Bob's Burgers is a plot point in the movie. We talked about it. Apparently season 12, which is the most recent season, you can see over the course of that season that the sidewalk in front of their place is like gradually getting lower and lower. So like ultimately this pays off as like the end of that season. I really want to check it out because it's just such a fun touch to put in there that I didn't notice. I watched every episode, but they at least don't make it obvious. I haven't seen it, but this is what I've read, so I kind of want to go back and look at it. It's kind of a fun thing. And then the other thing is stay through the credits.
I don't even know if I remember what happened after.
You do. We'll talk about it afterward, but stay through the credits.
Okay.
Yeah, because we stayed through the credits, so you definitely know.
Yeah. It was a delicious treat and left us.
But, we did all the burger puns last time. I think we're good with the burger puns.
You said burger puns earlier, and I thought you said, we went through all these burger buns, and I was like, what? I don't remember.
You're coming over in a couple days, so that we're gonna make some burgers. Let me show you something real quick. Just 1 second. Just
yep. Okay. Steven's getting the burger. Yeah, we're gonna make some burgers. I have the Bob's Burgers cookbook So we're gonna try to maybe make something from there. And I haven't tried it.
Look at this.
So, my God, Steven's making buns.
I am making buns. I'm making burger buns. I use my sourdough starter, and I put it all together. It's the first time I've made an enriched flour with the sourdough starter. So I had the milk and the egg and everything, and some sugar and stuff. And as soon as I get off of this, I'm gonna go get some sesame seeds. And I'm literally going to bake this right afterward. I have to turn on the oven, but I'm going to brush it with a little egg wash on top, sprinkle with some sesame seeds. Boom. Homemade burger buns, because with no bad political things going on. I'm staying away from Martin's burger bun. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to make my own, because I know my political leanings.
But if you leave them out too long, they can go bad.
Bad burgers?
Ooh, a bad burgers.
I give you homemade buns, and you give me a bad Bob Belcher impression.
Should I take a screen grab of this of these buns here?
No. That's good. I mean, well, because we're going to talk about this. We will have already talked about this in the intro about the doing the stuff. So I'll do that. That's it. That's the end of the episode. I think I'll probably just end it at your impression, your bad impression.